Alright, this video is going to be for Dwight, the backwoods codger. We're going to keep it simple, I think. So, he wanted to know, what was your worst pipe experience with what pipe? Or your worst pipe. Anyway, or your best. Now, on best, I have two, and I'm going to do those first because they're almost identical. So, this was my first pipe. And I got this 17, 18 years ago, maybe longer. For whatever reason, my group of friends started smoking pipes. Back, whatever that was, a long time ago. And I'd smoked house blends, vanilla Cavendish, cherry Cavendish, um, different Captain Blacks, and I didn't taste anything, and all I got was tongue bite after tongue bite. I was not real enthused about it at that point. And then, one day, one of the friends in the group had gone somewhere and he'd gotten a hold of a can of Frog Morton on the Bayou. Now, everybody always talks about Frog Morton or Frog Morton Cellar. Very seldom do you ever hear about the Bayou one, which this is the the first thing I ever smoked that I tasted anything besides burn ash and sweetness from the Cavendishes that were flavored. And packed up the bowl, had a little bit of Latakia in it, a little Perique, maybe a lot of Perique, I don't rightfully know. Some Virginias, and packed up the bowl on this pipe. And I lit it up. I could taste that sooty campfire taste that you get from Latakia. A sweet and sour sort of flavor, which I'm not sure what that any of the flavors actually came from at the time, but it was absolutely amazing. And that was that first smoke that actually made sense to me. Tasted good. It was smooth. It was cool. It didn't bite my tongue at all. It was glorious. Well, time comes and goes, and time passes, and quit smoking pipe. 6 months in, we all just, for whatever reason, had stopped smoking pipe. In my case, it was hard for me to get tobacco because all the local shops sold was their house blend Cavendishes, and they weren't that good. And they were real bitey. And the reason I know they were bitey because they're still bitey today. I bought some here a year or so ago, tried them again. Anyway, the second good experience, I was, I don't know, three, six, 3 months into my new pipe smoking experience, which started 4, 5 years ago. Been a little while now. 3 maybe. Anyway, I bought a Rossi 8673. I still have the pipe. It's in the house. And I'd gotten a hold of some No Bite Delight from whatchamacallit's out in Pennsylvania. Boswell's. Anyway, we got some No Bite Delight and a couple other things. Christmas cookie. Anyway, I was looking to try some more higher end stuff because what I'd had up to that point was mostly things like Captain Black again, and I'd gotten hold of some bookshop, which at that time I wasn't a real big fan of. Now I am. Anyway, Christmas cookie, no bite delight. They had a bunch of stuff that I'd picked up, a bunch of different flavors. And Northwoods was one of them. Anyway, I could taste things, but I couldn't taste things real clear. And I had that 673. I had just got it. I packed it up with some No Bite Delight. Well, we're sitting there. Well, actually, I'm sitting here, puffing on it. Mind my own business, staring off into space, thinking about things. And suddenly, all these odd and unusual notes came through. I was getting a bready note. There was a chocolate. There was all these different flavors that just suddenly started coming through. And it just kind of overwhelmed me on the flavor brush. It was a surprise. It was a shock. I'd never experienced that with a pipe up to that point, other than with the Frog-Morton on the Bayou. And those flavors weren't as defined as these were. Like the bready notes, it tasted like fresh bread. And then you had the hay flavors and the sweetness, and then somewhere along the way, this chocolatey flavor come in. That was really good. Now, on to my worst experience. Worst pipe. We're going to go with, when I first started this time, I had this pipe. I had another pipe that I'd bought, that I'd had for years and years and years. It was a basket pipe. I still got it too. I'll go back and watch some of the videos. You might see it. Anyway, I'd been reading online about how great Cobb's were, and I was always wanting a church warden. So on Boswell's, I had a Shire Cobbit that had this stem on it. That's all that's left of that pipe. Anyway, here, we'll get close up so you can see it. It's cool. It's all these fancy colors. I keep the stem in case I find a pipe that'll actually fit in. But anyway, I bought the pipe, and 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in, I'd been smoking it semi-regularly. I'd bought another Missouri Meerschaum Cobb. It was some C&D combo special thing. I don't know, some judge or something pipe, I don't remember. Anyway, I was smoking the Shire Cobbit on a semi-regular basis, once every day or two, sometimes every day. And I was smoking the other one. I smoked well enough. Smoked cool, smoked dry. Well, like I said, 2-3 weeks in, other pipe shows up. I start smoking it. After about a week of having the other cob, the Shire Cobbit starts to, the shank starts to come loose. I didn't get enough glue in there, so I got wood glue. I got some wood glue. I got dental pick out. I go along there, all the little holes, I just take and force glue down there with a dental pick. I figure that'll help. And it did tighten up after it dried. Like, alright. Well, I noticed it was sucking air. Everything was light and wispy. I couldn't find where it was sucking air. I could put my hand on top and draw on it, and you could feel that it was pulling air from somewhere. So I tried to figure out where it's drawing air. It wasn't coming around the stem. And I smoked it. I set it down. I went to bed. I got up the next day, picked the pipe up, and noticed in the plaster there was a line right above the shank that had formed in the plaster, and it followed to the kernels where they used to be. I was like, that's kind of odd. Well, lit it up. That's where she's drawing air. I was like, well, that's no good. So I take and I fill that crack just completely full of air or full of wood glue. And I press it with a clamp, trying to reseat it. Seals up because I did like smoking the pipe, but it it didn't take. It just split all the way around on that line. The whole top half of the pipe come off. The shank wouldn't stand after that. So I was like, well, I still got this other one. No, about 2 weeks after I got it, it cracked up the side. It went from the top of the shank all the way up to the top of the bowl. It just and it you couldn't keep it from sucking air. The shank never came loose, but that sucker from that day forth, you couldn't keep it from sucking air. And because of that, I went on to do with Missouri Meerschaum. I had 3 in total. Had a country gentleman. It smoked just fine. But I gave it away. I didn't want to do with cobs after that. So hopefully this works for you, Dwight. And I'd like to thank you for putting on this drawing and letting all us normal folks who have poor skills at making things have a chance at winning something cool. Y'all have a good day.